Hello and welcome to Books of Blood. My name is John. First off, let me say Happy New Year. It is January 1st. Now, this is going to post on January 2nd, but I am filming this, so this is future me saying to the past you or whatever, Happy New Year. And I hope 2021 is a whole lot better year than 2020, any day of 2020 was. All right, so there you go. Anyway, I've got a book review for you. I started this book last night at midnight, finished it at 1:30 in the morning. So yes, I was reading. I wasn't drinking or partying or anything like that. In fact, I was working. And in order to stay awake, I've got to do things to occupy my mind, and reading is, of course, one of those priorities. And I'm so glad because the book I'm going to be reviewing today is A Bright Enchanted Suffering. This is two novellas of macabre horror by Eric LaRocca. So first things first, the two stories, and I've got them right here. There's really not a synopsis for these stories or on the back of the book. But the stories, first one is called You're Not Supposed to Be Here. Now this one is about a couple. They're in a park with their kid, with their baby. And they're approached by this gentleman. The gentleman says his name is Lyric. He's got a wife. Her name is Melody. And they seem like a nice enough couple. All right? But there's just something a little bit off about them. And later on in the novella, something happens to where this couple has to play this rather deadly game, rather sinister game with an unseen opponent to ensure the safety of their infant child. Now, if you notice, I keep saying a couple. Now, one thing I admired about this book, now it is a same-sex couple. I'm sorry. One of them, the husband is, well, they're both husbands, but anyway, Vincent and Terry, okay? And they got a baby named Philip. You know, the whole artificial insemination thing or whatever, but anyway, they've got a baby named Philip. And Philip is taken. And in order for them to get this child back, they have to, like I said, play this really deadly game. Now, the one thing I liked, and I wrote Eric LaRocca, and I told him, I said, one thing I liked about this is you didn't just come out and say, hey, this is a gay couple. You know, instead you kind of did it like I told him. It's kind of like whenever Gabriel Iglesias, the comedian, he says that people come up to him and they go, what's it like being a Latino comedian? And he says, well, basically says, I'm not a Latino comedian. I'm a comedian who just happens to be Latino. And it's the same thing with this couple. They're a couple, they're gay, they're a couple, but they just happen to be gay. And, you know, and I asked him how far off the mark I was with that, and he said, I was right on the mark. I'm like, great. And anyway, we talked a little bit. This is probably my favorite story in the book. Both the stories were awesome, but this one gets a slight edge over the other story. Now, don't get me wrong. What's funny is they're both, to me, 5-star stories. I'm going to, spoiler alert, I give this book 5 stars, and it well deserves it. But the one thing I told him, and I wrote in my Goodreads review, is that his writing, Eric LaRocca's writing, to me, it's like drinking this bottle of just the finest wine. I mean, we're talking about a wine that just goes down so smooth, so good. But when you get to the very last swallow, you discover that fine wine is turned into gasoline. In other words, what I'm saying is he writes this absolutely beautiful prose. I mean, I don't think there's a word wasted in either one of these stories, but man, does it take a dark turn. You know, just like out of nowhere, you're like, whoa, what the hell is going on here? All right, and that's the way I felt about both these stories. So let me with that go ahead and go on to the next story. The next story, both stories about, we'll say this about both stories, they're both very similar to each other. They're both about parents who have to make drastic decisions to ensure the life and the safety of their child. Okay? The next story is Where Flames Burn Emerald as Grass. Now, this is about a fella named Norval. You know, you talk about taking a name out of the blue, Norval, and it's not Norville, it's Norval. Man, Eric LaRocca, man, he just grabbed that one out of the blue and just dragged it down, all right? Anyway, he's on vacation with his daughter, and I believe they are in South America. I believe so. Because they talk a lot about insects and mosquitoes and bugs that can get in, can bite you and kill you and stuff. And Little girl gets hurt. She gets a splinter. And this gentleman appears basically out of nowhere. French gentleman takes care of her and everything. But then later on, he again puts this father. Now he's a single father. His wife has died. And one thing about it, another thing about it is another one that you don't realize that this gentleman is gay until he starts talking about how he's got has taken on somebody else after his wife died, and this just happens to be another man. All right. Really, and that's really beside the point. Both of these stories, the whole thing of them being gay is really beside the point. What's the stories are about is parents who, again, have to make decisions to ensure the safety of their children. All right. And the second one here, where leaves burned emerald as grass, this dad kind of takes a little bit of a different thought process to it. I won't tell you really how, really what, but let's just say he doesn't feel comfortable being a single parent. Now, if that spoils anything, I don't want to do that, so I hope not. But again, like I said, both these stories were just excellent, fantastic stories. Like I said, finishing this book in an hour and a half, I mean, this one blew me away. Now, I have read his other book, Starving Ghost in Every Thread. That was my first introduction to Eric LaRocca. And when Eric sent me this book, and he said, I saw your review for Starving Ghost, and I hate the way my hair looks right now. But anyway, he said, when I saw your review for Starving Ghost, he really appreciated it. He wanted to see me this. And the first thought when I said yes, the first thought that was going through my head was there is no way this guy could write a story anywhere as good as Starving Ghost in Every Thread. I just thought there's no way. And like I said, I wrote in my Goodreads review of this, I really love being wrong sometimes, because these stories may actually even be better than Starving Ghost in Every Thread. To be able to write two books side by side of each other and to get 5-star ratings, that's a really awesome achievement. And he's just been on fire with the stories he's been writing. I believe he's got a collection of poetry coming out called Fang Dandelions. I may be wrong about the title. And I guarantee you it's probably going to be just as good as these two books, A Bright Enchanted Suffering and Starving Ghost in Every Thread. Anyway, that is my review of A Bright Enchanted Suffering. 5 stars. I could not recommend this book anymore. Just however you got to read it, read it. If you got to look over somebody's shoulder to read it like that. You'll annoy the hell out of them, but do it anyway. Ebook, whatever. Just pick this book up. Man, it's awesome. Anyway, that's going to do it. This is going to post on January 2nd at 2:30 in the afternoon. Again, Happy New Year, and thank you guys for watching, and enjoy your weekend. See you later. Bye.